Every missionary must come home from their field for various reasons, whether it's to raise more support or because of sickness or a family emergency, but often they must leave their flock on the mission field without a shepherd. Many missionaries have returned to their work, and the wolves have entered in and stolen away or completely destroyed the flock that the missionary has worked so long and hard to gather. Hello, I'm Leo Paine, and this is my wife Cathy. God has called us to furlough relief to fill in on the mission field while missionaries are home on furlough. Standing in the Gap is a ministry of our sending church, Bible Baptist Temple in St. Joseph, Missouri. The Apostle Paul says in Acts chapter 20, verse 29 and 30, "For I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock. Also of your own selves shall men arise, speaking perverse things to draw away disciples after them." Did you hear that part about grievous wolves enter in among you? Think about it. Your pastor would never leave this church unattended and have you fend for yourselves or allow just anyone in the pulpit. Yet oftentimes missionaries do not have anyone qualified or able to take over and do the preaching.
We personally know of 2 missionaries who returned to the field after a furlough, and the work of one was destroyed and the other work was stolen. Both of the missionaries had to start over again. Their hearts were broken, but they continued on.
You as a church have invested far too much in the work and lives of these missionaries with your prayers and financial support for this to happen to even one of them.
Hello, my name is John Reddy, missionary in Prague, Czech Republic. As any missionary will tell you, the prospect of being away from the work poses a difficult problem: how to care for the work in the missionary's absence. We are thankful to the Paines for filling that need for us here in Prague. On 2 occasions, Brother Leo and his wife, Cathy, stood in the gap for us. For 3 months in 2007, and then again for 2 months in 2011. The work here in Prague was in capable and caring hands while we were away. Brother Leo, as an experienced pastor, has a shepherd's heart in regards to the people and a proper respect for the work of a brother missionary. Together with his wife Cathy, they provided the perfect balance needed to stand in the gap. We highly and confidently recommend them in this very important and needed work.
Scott Hall, pastor of Fellowship Baptist Church in Ida May, West Virginia, and a former missionary to Kenya, tells us there's a very real need for help in any capacity, whether it be giving encouragement and help during a discouraging time, or filling in as a missionary takes a much-needed or even emergency furlough.
While the missionary is away from the field, Cathy and I stand in the gap, preaching, teaching, watching over, and protecting the flock. We each have well over 30 years' experience doing just that. In 2007, we were approached by missionary John Reddy to come to Prague, Czech Republic, and to watch over the work while they were on furlough. As we settled in, God wasted no time getting to work on us. We did not know this was going to be a dual-purpose trip. I thought God brought us to Prague to work with the people, but it was also to work on us. We were immediately thrown into a culture we did not understand, with a language that is impossible, food we could neither recognize nor pronounce.
Welcome to the mission field. We loved it.
As a result of that 4.5-month stay, God opened our eyes and burdened our heart to the very real and great need that missionaries have. Standing in the Gap was born and developed out of that burden. We supply emergency or furlough relief, and we are willing to go anywhere the Lord directs and provides the means for us to go. With the prayer and regular financial support of people and churches just like yours, we were able to provide this crucial help to missionaries all over the world with little or no financial burden to the already overburdened missionary. We recently returned from Europe, where we stood in the gap for 5 months for 2 different missionaries.
When the Paines first approached me about the idea of standing in the Gap Ministries, I was intrigued. I'd heard stories of how missionaries had returned on furlough and had been busy raising support and getting some much needed rest, only to return to the field to find out their ministry had been torn apart by some wolf that had entered in while they were gone. As we began to pray about what God would have the Paines to do, it was amazing how God began to open doors. And it wasn't long before we realized that this is a needed ministry, and He gave them some fields on which to work. They've already been a great blessing to some missionaries and have a trip planned in the very near future to be on the field for 1 year. I want to present this ministry to you with great hopes that you'll prayerfully consider supporting them and the work that they're doing. Brother Leo is a seasoned man of God, and he has wisdom, and he knows how to go in and to protect the flock and continue to build upon a solid foundation, and then not steal the heart of the people, and be able to turn the ministry right back over to the missionary when they return to the field. Miss Cathy's a servant and a helpmeet, and she's a great blessing in help in Sunday school and women's ministry. And I know that this couple is worthy. And so I just ask you, as their pastor, to consider the ministry of standing in the gap, that the work of the ministry might continue, even in the absence of those that God has first called to that field.
Jim Johnson, evangelist and director of Care Baptist Mission, says of Leo and Cathy, "It is certain that they are excited to help wherever they might be needed. They are certainly familiar in the operations, expectations, and the needs of the ministry. It is with great confidence I recommend to you this wonderful ministry." Jack Gwynn, pastor of Stillwaters Baptist Church in Knoxville, Tennessee, says, "I have known Brother and Sister Paine for over 20 years and found them to have a servant's heart for God. I believe they are worthy of your consideration." John Spolostra, missionary to Holland since 1982, says, "Like many missionaries, I have found furlough a great challenge without someone holding the anchor and standing in the gap. I heartily recommend the Paines for consideration of your prayers, help, and support."
In May, we are going to the island of Nauru in the Pacific, where we will stand in for Adam and Christy McGeorge.
We will be there for 11 months to watch over the work God has given the McGeorges while they are in the U.S., taking care of their various needs. Nauru has a population of approximately 10,000 souls, but only 2 Bible-preaching churches. The people of Nauru cannot afford to be left without a shepherd.
We covet your prayers, and we also need your financial support so we can go where the Lord calls us, so your missionaries will have a work to come back to. Will you help us help them?